Well, you're in the news, as you might have heard.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation, but probably the word misguided, is it? I've had a phone call from an agent, but that's been it.
Who was the agent?
A French agent.
And does the French agent have anything to do with the French Federation?
There would be a link, but I wouldn't say an official link. It's French rugby, don't forget.
Sounding out your interest, I presume.
Yeah, exactly. Just on a number of fronts, to be fair, Joe. And some of it was got to do with the French club game. Some of it was got to do with the French national team. So it was a pretty extensive and wide-varying chat. But other than that, hasn't been a follow-up.
Right, okay. So is this like an agent who might have links across France with the French Federation, with various clubs who, you know, as agents often do, ring up different people, gauge interest levels, and then they go back to who, you know, whatever club or federation they're dealing with and say, listen, Ronan O'Gara might be interested. They're almost trying to create something out of nothing, that kind of a role. Or was he asked to sound out?
Nothing may come of it at all, Joe.
Right.
But I was kind of initiating that I would be interested in working in France at some stage. Obviously, when I do finish up in Crusaders, I don't know when that will be. Hopefully, not for a while yet. And then I suppose out of the blue, there's the potential to maybe get a role for this World Cup of France, is what he was saying. And I said, yeah, it would interest me, but nothing has come of it, you know.
And when did you speak to him?
Last week.
Okay, so that could still be alive, because certainly Midi Olympique, the report that's made gained the most traction over here is that you're open to hooking up with France for the World Cup, and that they're interested in you, and that this thing is on the point of being done.
Yeah, I saw it. I actually have the app on my phone, obviously, Rugby Rama, and I was learning more about it reading that than I had from any of it. So it's Preta Senior ready to sign, which is you know what I mean. That's farcical. It's you can't be ready to sign after a conversation with an agent that has nothing to do with anything that goes on within the. It's like an agent in Irish rugby, which a lot of them are good guys, but you need to get past the agent stage and try and get into the IRFU before or the FFR before you're even talking ballpark, isn't it? Yeah.
So you said you'd be interested to the agent in getting involved for the World Cup. Straightforward for you? Like that's a no-brainer for you?
No, there's so many conditions that would have to be right, obviously, but
interested in opening discussions, it seems.
Exactly, that's it, Joe. Couldn't put it, but that is exactly it, because I think if there were the right conditions and you had an opportunity to work with players that I think are good players, I would always consider it.
Okay. Right. And when you see it's on the front page of Midi Olympique and it's everywhere, you does your hand go to your forehead and you think, this is far from ideal, or water off a duck's back?
No, not at all. I think it's part of the course, part of everyday rugby coaching or professional opportunities in terms of talking about players, talking about coaches. The world is tiny nowadays. If everyone is, I think, finding out more and more about different players, different people, different connections, and there's a lot of members of the staff in the Crusaders that once, twice a week they have propositions from clubs in Europe. So
sure,
they're formal propositions. At my stage, it's loose talk.
And your situation with Crusaders is that you'd be obviously off during the World Cup, so you'd be free to do it. Are you due to go back for another season with the Crusaders, or is that TBC?
TBC, depending basically, as you know from our days drinking coffee and eating Kit Kats and Virgin Media. I would love to come back, yeah, but I'm just weighing it up with Jess. That's the schooling decision that has to be made.
Yeah. They're in France, are they? I can't keep track of where your family are.
No.
They're with you now.
Do you not hear her pottering around the house here?
No.
Trying to keep her quiet. No, we're all here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All here.
And
just did the school run.
Yeah. So look, I presume that leaves you open to any offers then. Like, the Irish coaching ticket is TBC. That you're somebody who is very much open to
Joe.
approaches.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's a great position to be in. But you don't really talk about these things, I think, publicly. Well, sorry, no problem talking about it here or anything like that. But I think what determines this is what you do on the pitch, and if you're passionate about your job, and I don't even call it a job, about getting in with a good group. Yeah. Then these decisions look after themselves.
And if an agent rang you and said, "Here, I was just told, there's potentially something with the Andy Farrell ticket. Would you be open to a conversation?" I presume you'd be open to that conversation as well.
Of course, yeah. And sure, I was in Chicago this year for the Ireland-Italy game, and I met the staff, and I met the members of the IRFU, and I would chat to them, and that's exactly it.
And did you get any hint that they might want to explore options with you in that regard?
No, I didn't. But I think I would be I do it the exact same if I was them too. You gotta maybe prove yourself elsewhere before you get an opportunity at the highest level of coaching in Ireland. So, that's what my focus is at the minute, is trying to give myself that option that they want me, Joe.
Yeah, well, I suspect you're a man in demand at the moment, to be honest with you. It's interesting that Midi Olympic talk about you as coming in maybe as defensive coach, and listening to you, it's clear that conversations like that don't seem to have even remotely happened yet in terms of what role you would fulfill. You kind of, revolutionise might be a word you'd say is too strong, but you did a really good job with Racing on putting in defensive structures. Do you see yourself, and I know obviously you're working more with the backs at Crusaders now, your next role, would you prefer to go in as a defensive type coach? Would you prefer to go in working with backs and the attack? Like what area of the game are you interested in pursuing in your next role?
That's a great question. I was thinking, I was actually had a good discussion with the Canterbury coach yesterday, Joe Maddock, the next Bath player. He's the Mitre 10 team, but we're all in the same building in the Crusaders, and I was discussing that because he was self, and I think Jason Holland, who I play with Munsters now, the Hurricanes coach, but these were the guys that I think changed from an attacking structure of 2-4-2 to a kind of a 1-3-3-1 to a 1-3-2-2.
Yeah.
And we was asking him, so is this your idea? Did you patent this? And he said, well, kind of, with Jason Holland and Scott Robertson. And most definitely, I think that would be something I would be interested in, Joe. But I suppose when I was in racing, it was very specific role, and I was a young coach, and I didn't really have time to me cast my eye on what I really am, because I was a new coach, and I was really trying to nail my role for that 5 years. And now all of a sudden you're into Crusaders and you're way out of your depth in terms of what they've done previously, and you have to, I suppose, retrain yourself and remodel yourself to the way they do it. So it's probably only in the last few months that I feel pretty confident in having a good grasp of a few angles of the coach, obviously with the exception of forward play.
Yeah. And is there one that you enjoyed over the other? Not necessarily.
No, I think it's the probably one that's easiest to, I suppose, have a short-term game would be defence, because so much of it comes down to the right attitude and getting the structure in place, while attack is never black and white.
Yeah.
Attack, you're presented with so many different, I suppose, scenarios that you have to try and pick But it is, I'm with the growth mindset, I'm getting more and more towards the attack. But then, having played 10, I kind of know what works well for messing up the other team's attack.
Yeah. You're too good at everything. That's the problem.
Joe, I feel you're trying to set me up here for a big call.
No, I'm not. So, the life of a coach now, you've had this mysterious phone call from France. You're all over the French media and beyond. There's going to be a big change in the Irish coaching ticket, and you're open to an approach there. And really, you're open probably to approaches from all sorts of places. And then there's the Crusaders situation, which is TBC.
Exactly.
So you just kind of do you just sit in your hands a little bit now and wait, or do you have someone out there proactively making the odd approach for you?
No.
Or how does this work for you?
Yeah, I represent myself, which is probably a bit strange, but that was the great thing about being with Munster. You never felt the urge to leave or move, so why would you have an agent in that regard? So when it gets obviously to a contract stage, you just get a solicitor to have a look over it, and I have a good team in Dublin that do that for me. So, but there's no, I don't have any people seeking opportunities. I think that's been my mantra and my mindset all along, and the fact that these things look after themselves if you're doing the business in your sector, in your area, within your management team. So I'm fully convinced of that. I'm not up at night thinking about what's next. You got to live in the know, and especially after our performance at the weekend.
Sure.
48 is a lot. Hours is a long time in sport, and these things will sort themselves out.
Okay. So it's wait and see. You can't say any more than that.
No, because there's nothing to say, Joe. There's absolutely it's amazing. I was only talking to Jess about last night, in the fact that one phone call and you're on 3 different days of the Midi Olympique. So that's exactly what has happened. That's the scenario that you're in, has made this happen, and it's not.
Because Alan Quinlan was on OTBAM this morning, and I know you're good friends with him, and he said, I can't break any sort of protocol, he'll kill me, which gave me the impression that Quinny knew that something was happening.
Yeah, I read that, and that's his language, that's not my language. I told him exactly what I told you, Joe, but
right, okay.
He obviously has jumped the gun.
To change tack completely then, so I saw the Crusaders beaten by the Waratahs, ended a 19-match winning run. All of this with the most, I would presume, horrific backdrop in Christchurch. What effect has it had? I'd say what's happened is only hitting certain people even now, or within the bubble, have you all managed to park it in some way and make it business as usual?
No, it's not business as usual, I think. Far from it. It was a very strange, week, and even a very strange build-up to a game. And I thought the atmosphere was really good in the kind of, your walk through 4 hours before the game. I think the boys looked really on, and we were all ready to perform, but I think the coaching ticket maybe put their hand up in terms of we probably had too much faith, maybe, or not faith's the wrong word, but we probably decided to play summer rugby when it was really wintry conditions with a really, really greasy ball and a wet pitch, and our pass to kick ratio was too high. So I think in winter conditions we've been good at that in terms of adapting ever since. I think the Lions came down to Christchurch. The Crusaders got great learnings out of how to play winter rugby, and I think that's been a focal point ever since. And we kind of have a summer game and a winter game. I think essentially, Joe, from a tactical point of view, maybe we didn't direct the players enough in terms of playing winter conditions, and our error rate was far too high, far too high.
I saw Scott Robertson say we dropped enough balls for the whole season. He also said, given the horrible situation, we were really desperate to play well and represent our people and show how much we care. And it struck me, on the one hand, that could be a really powerful force for the team. Of course it could. On the other hand, it's a heavy burden.
Yeah, I would, and that, I think that's Razor's genius. I think he's brilliant at detecting people and players' moods and getting the best out of them. And I think he was very, very keen with the world watching to see what it means to be a positive crusader with all, I suppose, the negative imagery that's been associated with the city over the last week or so. So he just said, we got to do what we do best, go out and play rugby. But we didn't do it to our best, and sometimes that happens. But we had a great review and no finger pointing, and I think we're going to one of the most difficult places now in Super Rugby. Obviously, Hurricanes away on Friday night, so it doesn't get any easier, obviously.
Two last very quick questions. Clock is against us. One is, I'm sure you probably consume with stuff over there, but Munster go to Edinburgh, which I'm sure you'll be keeping close tabs on. Over 30,000 tickets sold. They're making a big effort to fill the ground over there and make it a tough atmosphere. You've been the Irish player who's gone back into provincial level after good times and after bad times, and God, they've had a tough time, and they're straight back in now to Munster duty away to Edinburgh in this absolutely massive game. Give us your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fascinating game, Joe. I think obviously the fact, irrespective of Munster, how well Edinburgh are going, they have been under the radar all season, performing really consistently, getting big results in both, obviously, campaigns. Irrespective of what team Leinster send over, to have that performance at the weekend and that result speaks volumes, I presume, for what's going on in the positivity of Edinburgh Rugby. And I think it's a very, very difficult game for Munster, in the fact that Edinburgh at home is going to be with their confidence in the second half of the Scottish performance. I make it a 50-50 game.
Right.
I genuinely think it's a very, very difficult game, and all quarterfinals are, but Edinburgh aren't the Edinburgh of 24 months ago. They're far, I think, superior to that. And also the fact, I think, the good thing, I suppose, from Munster's point of view, perhaps an advantage over Leinster, that they've less players involved with Ireland for that campaign, so it should be easier for Johan to, I presume, get his boys humming for this weekend. And Edinburgh with a full ground is a great stadium to play in. When it's empty, it's soul destroying. But this will be a great occasion, and I think Munster supporters will be there, and it's a crucial game for Munster, I think, to show that they've kicked on and their capacity to win these games is still alive. Yeah,
I don't know if provincial work can nurse players back to health or not, but it can't hurt if things go well at provincial level for those Irish players. Just a last one, bit of a left field one. We're doing a show at the Olympia Theatre on Wednesday. I know you've been there once or twice yourself. Our guest of honour is Michael Cheika, which we're looking forward to. He just seems like a fascinating fella. What was your relationship like with Cheika when he was in his pomp with Leinster? Did you come across him much, talk to him much?
No, I obviously respected him. I think he has twins as well. That was our connection. Both of us I think he gets a hard time, and he gets a rap because he's so passionate about it, and I think he can't hide his emotions, and that's not easy to do. I can't comment on that because I'm not the boss man yet, but I can only imagine the strain he is under. But he was way ahead of his time in terms of so many ex-coaches tried to turn that Leinster, I suppose, culture around, but they didn't succeed. But that was, I suppose, all down to Cheika and the routine he brought in, and he set them up to succeed, and they're still succeeding. So I think deep down, a lot of the players remember the guy who turned the tide, and he would always be associated with that. No, I never had any spats with Czechs when Munster played Leinster. It was always in those days they were probably at the height of the rivalry. When he was their head coach and when I was playing with Munster, but they were unbelievable days and everything good about representative rugby in Ireland. It was 80,000 people at games. Joe.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, when you look back?
No, it was special. It was easy now looking back, but I'll never forget, going up to Lansdowne Road in 06 and then coming home with our tail between our legs after Croke Park. So that's rugby. But no, I've obviously been watching Michael Cheika with Australia, and it's been mixed, obviously, but it's a hard job. But he's doing it well.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to having him over. Listen, thanks a million, and we'll talk to you when we talk to you. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, Joe. Good to talk.